Hey, what's going on? My name is Ryan Morgan, the founder of the Acquisition Network, and in this presentation, I'm going to go over the pros and cons of Airbnb versus acquisition automation. So, I'm going to quickly go through my background. Over the last 4 years, I've worked with 18 different entrepreneurs or products and services, generating over 7 million in revenue. So I have a lot of experience with a lot of different business models, and that's why I want to explain to you why we created what I believe is a superior model. But I also want to just provide general education on how these business concepts work, because I know a lot of people are interested. A lot of people are interested in the idea of starting Airbnb. So I'm going to go over the pros and cons and like what to look for when getting started with Airbnb and why I recommend you getting acquisitions. So number one, let's go through the pros of Airbnb. So number one is it's a very established brand. Obviously everyone knows about it. So that's one of the beauties with this business model is you don't have to do marketing for the tenants necessarily, right? There's already tenants that are looking to stay, and you just need to have a quality home, quality listing to get people to book with you, okay? And so there is opportunity to make very quick returns. Like if you have a good home and you're in a good market, you can make money immediately with Airbnb, and that's one of the greatest advantages of this business model. And then also a big pro is you have a physical asset that you can visit. So if you haven't seen any of my other videos, there's a lot of people that have came through my pipeline that are interested in investing into e-commerce. And you know, one thing that holds back some clients or investors from buying into e-commerce is the fact that it's not a physical asset. And so that's a pro. Obviously, some real estate investors like to physically go places and see what they have put their money into. So here are all the great pros. The cons are, I would say, so one is liability. You got people staying in your home, so you can always have things damaged. You also can have things stolen. Another con is you need to either be responsible for cleaning up after each individual stay, or you've got to hire staff, which is not necessarily the hardest thing to do, but finding good people is always an obligation as a business owner. So you got to have people that you trust to go in your home and to clean up on a frequent basis and not steal anything, obviously. Another con is depreciation. So the more often that people stay at your home, the lower that your value of your home can be. Some people argue that short-term rentals do a better job of taking care of the home than long-term rentals, but there's also something to be said about parties and how that can lead to damaging your property. And I would say the biggest con with Airbnb is market fluctuation. So right now, the Airbnb market isn't that great right now because it's becoming saturated. So that's another thing I could put is saturation. So saturation is definitely relevant because when you get into Airbnb, you're literally competing with hotels. You're competing with these billion-dollar organizations that have been in the industry for decades, and they'll stop at nothing to run you out of business. And so what's happened since Airbnb is hotels have figured out a way to become cheaper and offer better quality of service than before Airbnb. And the other thing that you're dealing with as an individual Airbnb host is like these professional property management groups and these super hosts that come into your neighborhood and buy 30 properties in the same place. And so you could like spend a lot of time and energy and effort to set up 3 really good properties, but if someone comes in and sets up 30 in the same place as you, now it's significantly harder for you to get bookings and you have no control over that. And so these are definitely risks that you should consider when getting to Airbnb. Definitely do research on your market. Are people staying there? How many serious hosts are in the area? And how much can you actually profit from this model? The other con I would say is it just depends if you own the property or not. So like a lot of people teach, hey, this is how you do Airbnb without owning it. And so one drawback of that is you don't get the equity in the property. Even if you're doing a really good job, you're just getting cash flow. There's no multiple or resale opportunity available. So cool. So those are all, like I said, if you want to get an Airbnb, what I would say is definitely do your research on the market. If you're considering hiring someone to do it, Do your due diligence on the team and evaluate how transparent they are with their service. So based on my experiences, I'll do another con. I'll say no transparency. Or this depends on which company you're working with. Like if you're gonna hire someone to do Airbnb for you, make sure they're transparent. You have access to their entire portfolio. You can see all of their properties, how much they're making, what's the average booking rate for those homes. And then also there should be some sort of community where you can connect to other clients that have hired that team, and you can ask them transparently, what is the booking rate, how much they're making, and what was the timeline and process to get the Airbnb profitable. I would say the biggest drawback with Airbnb and hiring someone for it is there's no equity or ownership. You're just hoping to create a bit of cash flow. So services at Airbnb can be anywhere from 25 to 50K, and cash flow projections are typically anywhere from like 2,000 to 4,000 a month across multiple companies that I've vetted and evaluated. And so in my opinion, that's a fairly big risk because you've got to wait 1 to 2 years to see a return on your investment. You don't have any ownership. So like you could lose that home at any time, and you're just hoping to get the cash flow and returns. And you don't know if the market is going to be the same 2 to 3 years from now than it is today. And so you're floating your money to hope to get it back in 2 or 3 years, and then you don't know if the cash flow is going to be the same. There's no appreciation. There's no ownership. This is the biggest reason I would recommend not hiring someone for Airbnb, and that, like what I just explained, creates some of the biggest pros for acquisition automation. So with acquisition automation, you do get ownership of a company, you do get equity, which increases in value in addition to the cash flow that is received. And so if you're a serious if you're a serious investor, you would want equity, you would want ownership, because you know that appreciation is the way to create wealth, not cash flow. Cash flow is just a way to pay bills, and with inflation, that's another reason, like 2 to 3 years from now, that 2,000 to 3,000 a month isn't the same due to the value of the dollar decreasing. You need to have something that increases over time as you add more value to the asset. And so I'm going to quickly go through the cons of acquisitions if you're not familiar with the space. It's very difficult to buy a business if you don't have experience or you don't have a team. 96% of people that try to buy a business on their own fail, and that's why we created a software company, network, and service to make it easier for people to get deals done. It's very expensive and time consuming if you're trying to do this all on your own, and that's why, like I said, we created a team and software company to streamline the process. Now, the pros of acquisitions is, as I mentioned, you get equity and cash flow that increases in value over time. So say we helped you secure 10% equity in a $2 million business, then you would have $200,000 in equity in addition to the cash flow of $2,000 to $4,000 a month from the business. And so that cash flow can be increased by selling more products, increasing marketing, reducing costs, but doing those things and making the business more profitable will also increase the value of the asset. And so over time, you can increase the value of that $2 million business, get it to $5 million, and so now you're $200,000 in equity, increases to $500,000 in equity, but you're also getting cash flow all along the way. And so that is the biggest pro I would say is relevant when you're comparing hiring someone for Airbnb, because it's more than likely that you're not getting ownership. Even if you are getting ownership of the home, you're subject to the market going up and down. So even if your Airbnb is doing well for years, the market, for whatever reason, could just be depressed, and then you won't be able to sell it for a massive multiple. And there's less variables that you can do to increase the quality of an Airbnb versus increasing the quality of a business. Okay. The other pros is you get ownership of the asset, you're hiring a US-based team, and I would say the biggest thing is the multiple on the resale. So with a home, if you're lucky and your market is just going up, you can buy a home for $500,000 and sell it for $2 million, and you cashed out, and that's like the traditional old way to create wealth. But with this economy and the fluctuation, you're really at a whim to the market in regards to creating your returns. Instead, with buying a business, if you have a good team, you can make it more profitable, you can increase the marketing, you can sell more products, and there's a tangible, trackable way to work on that asset to make it grow. And then when you make it grow and you sell it, you get a massive return by selling it for the multiple. There's a reason why 100% of billionaires did so with private equity, is because there's so much opportunity when you have ownership of a business, you're able to grow it and then sell it to another group that'll take it over for you. And I would say another huge pro with acquisition automation versus Airbnb automation, at least the companies that I've vetted and evaluated, is the transparency. So we offer complete access to our entire database of deals. We offer to connect all of our clients. We have weekly reporting every single Monday and Wednesday, where we offer accountability to our clients on how the company is progressing, how we're developing the AI. You also have transparent access to my staff, the people that work with and for the software on a daily basis. And like I said, you can just download our app and connect with all the other people that have purchased our program. We also have a training that you can go through to learn how to set up your own team, and we literally record everything every step of the way. There's over 2,500 recordings of us building out the entire network from scratch. We're running the company as if it was a publicly traded software company, because that's what we aspire to do, is to take the company public, raise more money for the technology so that we can acquire more businesses faster and more efficiently on behalf of our network of clients. So I hope you got great value out of this breakdown on acquisition versus Airbnb automation. If you are interested in learning how to buy a profitable business but you don't know where to get started, check out my free training, How to Buy a Profitable Business Without Doing the Work. And it goes into all the detail on how we raised over $2 million to build out the app. We've connected 12 board of advisor partners that have 8 to 9 figure backgrounds and have collectively purchased and sold over 350 companies over the last 30 years. In that training, it'll teach you exactly how the entire system works, how you can benefit from the training, learn how to set up your own team and hire mine to help you create equity and cash flow and provide you with the opportunity to spend more time with your family. If you're interested in learning more, check out that free training and schedule a consultation today. The future of doing business is now. Don't get left behind.